Welcome, everybody, to the Daily Mastermind. I am Paul Baxter, and I am absolutely here to help you grow. Guys, girls, good to see you. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. We are the Mortgage Mastermind group, and you are on our Daily Mastermind. And looks like I may need to do some slide fixing here. What's going on with my slides? Let me see what's happening with my slides. Hold on one second here. That's the great thing about PowerPoint. I absolutely love PowerPoint. That's what my problem was. There we go. Let's apply that to all. And we have fixed our slides. So let me scroll this down. Let me go ahead and save that setting. And now we're ready to go ahead and get started. Sorry about that, everybody. Welcome again to the Daily Mastermind class. I'm Paul Baxter with Mortgage Mastermind Group, and I am here to help you grow. Guys, what we're going to talk about today is how to map out your procedures. You can call it a flow chart. You can call it a funnel. You can call it a mind map. You can call it a checklist. Whatever it is you prefer to call yours, give it whatever title you want. The point is not to give you what title. The point is to help you set one up and understand the value of having a procedures map or a checklist or a flow chart, and how it can really make it so that you can focus on those time blocks. If you don't have something like this done, it's going to be very difficult, if not impossible, for you to be able to work correctly off of a time-blocked calendar and really put in that focused time if you don't have these procedures, these plans mapped out in a way that flows for you, and you know what's going to happen, when it's going to happen, who's going to make it happen, how long it's going to take to happen, and all of those things. So that's what we're talking about today, is mapping out your procedures. The first part of mapping out your procedures is you've got to plan out your process. And that includes every single step, everything from what you do when you get that phone call and it's a lead, to taking the application, to the follow-up, to what documents you ask for, how you ask for them, what forms you send over for them to sign, who handles each piece of the process. Every step has to be broken down, and that's the way that you're going to accomplish this for your own business, is first putting on a piece of paper each and every step that has to take place. And it doesn't necessarily have to be in order. You can put those in order later, but you need to just empty your mind onto a piece of paper. I find it very helpful for me. I keep a notepad next to me constantly for any and everything that I'm doing. There is always a notepad right next to me. And for something like a process map or a plan of action or a flow chart, you really have to take all of the pieces to the puzzle and just get them out of your head and put them on paper, so that I feel so you can see them visually, and kind of dot them out and just see them visually. And they don't necessarily have to be in order, but I need to see what those pieces are, each piece to the puzzle is. And then by each one, you put a little note down. Now, I know some of us on the call we are our one-man shops. We do everything on our own. We don't have an assistant, or we don't have people in place in our business that would handle a piece of the puzzle. It's us, other than maybe underwriting or processing is maybe done by somebody else. And so if that's the case, you want to make sure that step that has to do with processing, you know who is going to handle that piece. That underwriting piece, you know exactly who it is that's going to handle that piece to the puzzle. You need to know exactly how long each piece is going to take. And you know, when it comes to processing, when it comes to things that are not part of what you do in your, personally, I understand that underwriting can take, you could submit it and it could take, 10 days to hear back, or 5 days. When it comes down to how long each piece takes, make sure that you're thinking about it in and I don't mean this to sound like it's a bad thing, but in a worst case scenario, like the maximum amount of time that this could possibly take is X. That's how you want to include that as you're kind of putting your plan on paper, as you're mapping it out. And you want to make sure that as you're putting down each and every step and you're putting down who handles the piece and how long those pieces take, make sure that you include what's going to happen during the post-close. Does does everybody have a post-close plan? You know, how are you going to follow up with them? Are you going to send them flowers? Are you going to, send them a bottle of wine to their house later on? How does that work? Do you have a post-close scenario? And if yes, then you need to make sure that you're including each step of that post-close scenario so that you can include it in your map. Alan talked about that quite a bit the other day in his appreciation marketing, and part of what he does in his appreciation marketing is the past client touches that he does, and that all begins at post-close. It's a nice card, most of the time with a gift, whether it be brownies or whatever else, or a large card with a picture of their home that they'll display proudly. And it's all to keep him in their memory. So having that plan, you've got to know what it is and put it on paper first. Start by writing down all the things that have to happen. And we kind of talked about that. What are each piece to each step? And I only have a couple here, but you guys know what are some of the steps that I'm missing, guys? I've got lead is received. You take the application and then you process the application. Are you pulling credit there? Is pulling credit part of that application process? How much information do you need, and who is actually pulling that credit application? Approval process. Once you've had that application approved, how does the process go of approval? How do you get them that letter? Is it a form letter that you insert a couple of things? Is it a phone call? To who gets a phone call? All of those pieces to the puzzle. Now everything's gone through that pre-approval process. I didn't include processing in this. Is that a big piece to the puzzle? How long does that take? Who does that for your business? Is that part of what you need to map out as to being something that you're an integral part of, or it takes time for you to be part of? How does that work? Once that processing and all that stuff is done, what does the pre-close process look like? How do you prepare for closing? How do you communicate to the buyer, to the seller's agent, to the buyer's agent, and everyone involved in the transaction? How do you communicate? What are the pieces to the puzzle during that pre-close section that has to happen to make this be a complete flow from application or lead received all the way to closing? What does the close look like? Are you going to your closing? Are you bringing a gift to your closing? Who are you talking to at your closings? What all is happening during the closing? What has to happen post-close? And that's what we talked about just a bit ago. What happens after a close takes place? How are you following up with them? Is it 3 days? Is it a week? Is it a month? What happens a year post-close? That you have to map that out and have that process in place. Again, all of having this map, it serves a couple of purposes. First and foremost, it streamlines your process. It makes it so that you've got a easy process that everybody can follow. But the second thing that having this process does is it makes it so that you can now fulfill your time block and be much more accurate on your time block and open up time on your time block, because you've got a much more flowing process for getting those loans done once they come through. Okay, so it's multiple reasons. Next, determine what parts of that process can be simplified. So once you've broken down every single step of the process, who handles it, how long each piece takes, I mean every integral part from the approval process all the way down to the pre-close and all the small pieces in between, you're going to look at every one of those and you're going to try and consolidate your efforts. Can you combine similar steps? Can you take 15 minutes and where you're back here and you're talking about this approval process and you've got to let everybody in the transaction know about the approval? Well, can you combine that into one simple video email that you send, and you attach, all three people get it, and it's a, hey, I just wanted to let you guys know where we are, and in the process, we've got you approved, you're ready to buy your home, Mr. and Mr. Seller's agent. That means that you're ready to start staging this and getting this ready to go for closing. We'll be in touch on X number to do whatever it is, but you can combine those similar steps. Use your CRM to automate emails. Is there anybody on the call with me now? And I know everybody's got a little bit different one, but is there anybody on the call that does not have, Terry, I think, and I'm asking this for your benefit because I want to talk about this a little bit, Terry. Is there anybody on the call that does not have a email system, a CRM system? And it doesn't have to be something as robust as mortgage, MPC, mortgage plan CRM, or Be in Touch. It can be as simple as eye contact, just some way to communicate with a group of people, to be able to upload a list or put people into a system that stores them, and now you can communicate with them ongoing. Switched from FMC to Mortgage Web Success plus Pipedrive. So for those that don't know, Mortgage Web Success, which is Joe Garris's system, he has a CRM and email sender built right into the MWS. So that's a great move there, Peggy. And the Pipedrive helps you keep that organized. Okay. So it looks like a vast majority of you have some sort of system out there already. If you do not have a system to send emails, go out and get MailChimp. Go out and get iContact. I use Pipedrive for lead to processing, and that's perfect. And it should be able to, the mapping out process, you should be able to do this inside of Pipedrive. We just I'll get an expert on here to talk about the specifics of that specific system soon. We'll have an expert on here talking about that and how to make that take you, be the mapping or the process that drives it. That's great stuff, Peggy. If you do not, James says I'm using MailChimp, and there's a lot of different ones out there. They all do the basic same thing. Just find the one. If you're not using one right now, so Terry, this is specific to you. And remind me, actually, let me escape out of here, and I'm going to put this up so that you can see it right now here today. Let me do this. I want to put this up so that, Terry, you can go and get yourself a CRM system, and this is a free one. So if you go to targethero.com, that is a CRM type system. It allows you to create templated emails. It allows you to create a list that you can send out to, if I put in, past clients and uploaded them, I can send a message to that entire list. You can help agents with this too, and we'll train on this another day, Terry, but you can use Target Hero if you don't have a system currently. But you need something, and the point of that is because you want to have the ability to automate your emails going out. You want to be able to send one email to a whole group of people, a buyer, the buyer and the buyer's wife, both people on the application, they got separate emails. They both need it. You got a buyer agent, you got a seller agent, then you got the team leader over where the buyer agent comes from. I mean, you could have as many as 5 people that need update notifications, and having a CRM that allows you to make one email and send it to all of them, really, really valuable. It also helps with your follow-up situation, okay? Here's a big one. I know my friend Jeff Kirkpatrick is huge on this. I know Bill is huge on this. Use video for education to eliminate calls. So what would happen, and I know that our good friend and contributing faculty Jody Tonga out in Hawaii, who recently was voted best mortgage lender in the Hawaiian Islands. That's voted by consumers. Great honor for her. She uses this, and it has eliminated, I think she said 70% of the calls that her team, and she has a full team, and she doesn't necessarily receive the calls in, but her team was getting calls just constantly. Where are we in the process? What's going on with this? What's happening with that? And so what she started doing is she makes a little video when a file gets to a milestone section, maybe it's been pre-approved or clear to close, whatever the case may be, and there's a communication that needs to go out to all parties involved. She will actually bring up the document or whatever on the screen, or she will just pop open her webcam and she makes a short video, 2 to 5 minutes, explaining what the update is about, and she sends that to all parties. Jody Tonga, 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 Jodie Tonga is her full name, James. But she sends out this little video, and it has, because it's got all the information right there in the little video. Oh, Tanga, excuse me, Tanga. Thank you, Peggy. I've never been good at the spelling stuff. I was never a candidate for the B. But the point is, when she makes these little videos and sends them out, and she does it for every file now, because it eliminated about 70% of the calls that were coming in with people just wanting to know, hey, what's going on with this? What's happening with that? It was, they already got that information, and they liked the video better because they felt like they were getting a personal touch from Jody. She was speaking directly to them. Now what she's done is she has archived a whole lot of the videos. So over time, and she's been doing this for a little over a year now, over time she's got a little library of different status updates. Now, if it's something specific to that specific borrower, she will make one specific for that. But most of the time, her status updates and things, she's got a video already in the can, ready to go, that she now, once a person reaches that, boom, this video goes out and these two follow up. It's just a little series that she's created that happen based on a milestone that's triggered inside their CRM system. Really great stuff. Then create a map, a flow chart, a funnel, if you will, a checklist, whatever it is. Again, whatever you want to call it, that's entirely up to you. But that once you've got these pieces to the puzzle, you've got every step that you're going to do, who handles each piece, how long each piece takes, what's going to happen in post-close. You've broken down every single step during for what has to happen during the lead process, the process, how you process the application, how it goes to approval, all of the pre-close scenarios. Everything is written down. You've combined all the similar steps that you've got. You've got your email set up in your CRM system so that it's templated so that you can automate that. If you're going to do videos, you've got yourself prepared, maybe even a couple of, maybe the 6 milestones that happen throughout the process. You've got a canned video that goes out that's ready to go in the can, ready to send out when you turn this thing on. Minimize the number of touches you make to a file. You want to combine those steps. You've got all that stuff done, and so now you're going to put it on a map. You're going to make it easy, and you're going to make that map a flow in a way that even if I walked into your business not knowing anything about how you process and do application, everything from application to closing, I could look at this map that you've created, and I would know exactly how to manage and operate your system. I would know exactly what every piece of the puzzle is and simplify it. Now, I know some of us can't delegate. We're not in a position with our team just yet to be able to delegate to someone else. I know some of us are in the process or at that stage in our business currently where we may need a virtual assistant or an assistant in-house, whether it be full-time or part-time. I'm speaking to you, my friend Wayne. I know that we're in that stage right now where we really need to look at bringing in a person to delegate and simplify some of these processes that we're doing. I know that Wayne's got a very big process, and he takes care of every customer top to bottom, and it's a long process, and he's doing that on his own right now. So he's at that part or at that stage of business where he's really at a need point of bringing in an assistant. And so for part of your map, you're going to start simplifying and breaking down and thinking about where on your map are you going to delegate some of these tasks to happen by this new assistant. And again, Wayne, I got to tell you, it doesn't have to be full time. You can bring somebody in for 10 or maybe 20 hours a week to begin with. The key element there is before you bring that person in, before you bring them in, Wayne, map out your process like this. Know exactly what has to happen, and then start looking at the map that you create and see where you can delegate to someone that would be part-time, or where you could maybe delegate to a virtual assistant some of the automation with the CRM, some of the basic data entry stuff to get it all set up, some of the, getting the videos edited and put in a place where they're on a page where you can get that set up. That's something someone else can do for you, and a lot of times at a very low cost and very low number of hours. So that's where, if you're at that part in your process, delegate. If you have a team already, look at your process and determine where are some additional places that you can delegate part of that process. I know that's where Peggy is in her business, is finding additional items that she can pass or move over to her assistant to free her up some of that monotonous, some of that processing time, so to speak. And so this is what a basic map would look like. And this one, guys and girls, I'm going to tell you, it's created right inside of PowerPoint. You don't have to have fancy software or sign up for some super duper service. This is created right inside of PowerPoint. And so it comes in. So I get an application, and then the approval process. I need to get all these docs. And once I've got all these docs, I can then approve them and push them over to processing. If the application lets me know that they need credit help, maybe I offer them credit help. And then continuous follow-up. That's your automation plan. So that's where that portion of the map stops. Once they filter through that or they take an action step that I've got set up in my regular follow-up plan, that moves them back to the app process, and then they flow down this side of the map again. Once I get them the lead application, I get that app approved. I then need to, with approval, need to start getting all their documents together, getting all my I's dotted, my T's crossed, and I push that over to processing and underwriting. Once they've done their thing, and I know exactly how much time this takes. Remember, that's a key element here, is knowing exactly how much time these things take so that I can maximize my time and my time block based on how much time these things are going to take in my loan process. Once I'm clear, I get my clear to close, I start setting up my closing, my pre-close scenario. And I didn't include that here, I just kind of showed that, but that's where I would set up my pre-close scenario. What all do I get ready? Am I doing a gift? Do I go to all my closings? If so, am I giving a gift or a card of some sort? Who's picking up that gift? Is that something I'm doing during my business day, or am I doing that, 2 days or on my way to the closing? What does that look like? Post-close. I got a handwritten thank you note. Alan, we got a greeting card. Connect socially. I'm becoming friends with them on Facebook, and I'm liking some of the things they're doing. And always, part of my post-close is always ask for a referral. Then and only then do they move to the ongoing post-close, which is, again, my automated follow-up, my once every month email to my past clients, my weekly tip to my past clients in video. What are some of the gifts that are being given at closing? Let's ask the group here. So Joy, Wayne, Terry, Peggy, Lisa, I would ask you, but I know you're not closing loans anymore, so I won't ask you that. Jeff, Bill, Al, guys, what are some of the gifts that you guys are giving? I know, like the fruit baskets. I know the big one that not currently giving gifts at or after closing, and that's fine as long as you make sure you're staying in touch in some way, shape, or form. That's fine. A lot of people like to give that closing gift. So what I've seen a lot of people will do is give one of those edible bouquets. Bill Rogers says a Home Depot gift card. That's really a good idea when you move into your house. You always, I don't know about you, but every time I've ever moved into a house myself, um, I always have to run to Home Depot to pick up maybe some cleaning supplies, or I got to get the broom, and oh, you got to have a nice new broom for the new house. Terry says she does gift cards. Any specific place you do gift cards to, Terry? Or does it all just depend on the personality type of the buyer themselves? Because that could be fun too. You just run up to Home Depot, or not Home Depot, excuse me, Walmart, and they've got a rack with every kind of gift card you could think of that you could buy. Everything from restaurants to movie rentals to Home Depot and everything in between. Terry says Home Depot usually, or a gas card. Joy says, I give a moving survival kit with everything they need for moving. I also take etched champagne glasses with my name and website with some sparkling grape juice to the closing for the picture to post to Facebook. That's great. So what Joy's doing is two things. First, what she's doing is she's making the closing, which I don't know about you guys, but I will tell you, when I bought my house, the closing was by far two things. It was by far the most daunting thing I've ever done, because you feel like you're signing your life away with how many pieces of paper you got to put your John Hancock or initials on. I mean, you really feel like you're signing your life away. So it feels daunting, but it's also not a fun experience. It was a little bit boring. It's very dry and monotonous and not a fun experience. So I love what Joy's doing with the sparkling grape juice, and she's doing grape juice instead of champagne, and I like that. I'm a non-drinker, so if my mortgage lender had shown up to our closing with the champagne, I wouldn't have been able to participate because I don't drink alcohol. But with the sparkling grape juice, that's everybody can do that, and it's a fun thing that she's doing, kind of a toast kind of deal. That breaks up the monotony, and it adds to the fun. And then in addition to that, she's doing a moving survival kit that is something for inside the home. And then every time they look at one of the products in that survival kit, such as, the Clorox wipes for wiping countertops, and the two rolls of toilet paper, and making sure that you got the brand new bottle of bleach, whatever's in that. When they look at those things, they're thinking of Joy. My guess is that includes some sort of refrigerator magnet or calendar that keeps Joy's name in front of them as they're moved in, and they want to put that up because they appreciate that gift. It's something to remind you. Whatever the gift is, James, it's all meant to remind the buyer of who you are. And guys, remember this. Some of you have heard me say it, some of you have not. So for those of you who have not heard me say it, for your benefit, I firmly believe, I wholeheartedly, I base my entire marketing strategy, I base everything I do in terms of marketing on this one statement. I believe that people buy based on how you make them feel. They do not buy based on what you said, what your product is, even a need for your product. People do not buy based on anything other than how you make them feel. People will get a feeling and make a purchase decision based on that emotional feeling that they get. That is the sole thing that people buy on, is people buy on emotion. They have a need for the product. Yes, that's what got them talking to you in the first place, but they don't buy that product based on need. They buy that product based on feeling. Just like when we buy a specific name brand versus a generic brand of a specific cleaning products, for gosh sake. It's because something we saw along the line made us want to buy Kleenex instead of just regular old bathroom tissue. Does that make sense? It's based on a feeling, not just what you said. So what Joy's doing, or what any gift for that matter is meant to do, is meant to create a feeling, and this runs along the lines of what Alan talks about in his whole entire marketing strategy for his mortgage business, is creating that feeling that you appreciate them. Because if you can make someone believe that you appreciate them for their business, guess what they're going to do? They want to be appreciated again, so they're going to give you more business. They're going to talk about you. You made them feel special. And when you make someone feel special, they want to let other people know that you made them feel special. And so that's where those referrals come from. Again, I firmly believe that buying takes place based on the way you make them feel, not what you said. Working on getting all the items in the box labeled with my information. Good idea for the refrigerator manager. That'll be next to include. So there you go, Joy. That was worth the price of admission for you today. And guys, you could learn something from what Joy's doing on those closings. Not only is she providing a little a moving survival kit, which is little things to help you move. I mean, think about when you moved. What did you have to run to the store? I was just talking about that Home Depot thing, where every time I've ever moved, I got to run to Home Depot, and I got to pick up a new broom, and I got to grab a couple of rolls of toilet paper, and I got to grab, some bleach and maybe some Windex and maybe a little bit of the I live in Florida, so if you don't have roach spray handy at all given times, you're in bad shape. That's a good idea to label, but include that little refrigerator magnet as part of that gift pack, or maybe a little calendar with your information that's magnetized to the refrigerator. They'll stick that sucker up there, and it'll stay there for the year or longer. It's their first new refrigerator magnet in their new home, and it's Joy that brought it to them. And that's a feeling that she's created with them. She made them feel like there was something to celebrate during that closing with the sparkling grape juice. Great stuff. Great stuff. So that's pretty much the presentation I've got for today, guys, is all about mapping out. You guys want to see what a good, let me show you this. And you didn't see this. We're going to be going over this top to bottom on Friday, and that's kind of why I wanted to do today's class the way I wanted to do it, because I want you guys to have a little bit of oomph going into Friday's class. And we're not going to talk about this 100%, but we're going to cover what this kind of thing looks like. This is what the legacy mortgage team process looks like. So notice it's kind of done the way a map is supposed to. The flow goes from the top. You've got your header sources. These are the pieces of what has to happen. Lead received. Okay? And then it's color coded. Client services coordinator, which is a member of the team at Legacy Mortgage Team. The client services coordinator adds the prospect to their CRM system and then gives that file over to a loan officer to begin working on it. The trigger email, wow marketing. So the email to the lead outlining the team approach. Basically, they've got a pre-written email set up, ready to go, that goes out right away based on, the client services coordinator triggers this happening, that this email goes out. And as you can see, I mean, it's just a full flow of process, and kind of the way that we broke it down just now. It talks about what has to happen. It breaks down when that's going to happen. When in the process does it happen? Who handles it? Who handles that particular situation? Now, it doesn't have exactly how much time it takes, but they know based on this 5 days, that's how much time it's going to take to get from lead received over to lead received, continued over to submit for processing. Submit for processing, 2 days. Contract received, again, 2 more days for that process to take place. Submit to underwriting, that takes place in 1 day. So he's got it broken down as to who's going to do what, when they're going to do it. Oh, come on. How do I get out of that? There we go. Sorry about that. Who's going to do it, how long it's going to take, and all those great things. Now, this one, I don't know. Maybe Joy can answer. Do you know, Joy, was this one created on PowerPoint as well? And I'll pop open my question box here and see if I can't get the answer to that. It looks like it was. That'd be this one right here. Was this created on PowerPoint as well? It looks like it was, which is why I'm asking. And to create something like this for yourself, TE stands for trigger email. That's what that stands for, James. TE stands for trigger email. Let's just the one day she doesn't hang out on class with us. That's okay, no worries. Let me show you guys. If you wanted to do this on PowerPoint, it would be a fairly simple thing to do. So I'm going to add a new slide, and I'm going to go with a blank slide here. And actually, I need to create a new PowerPoint because this has the stuff in there. So bear with me 1 minute. I'm going to go with a new blank PowerPoint, right? So I got a starting point, right? So I'm going to bring my header up here. And we're going to give it a Paul's Mortgage Team Process, right? So I've got my header up there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over and I'm going to insert a text box. And in my text box, I'm going to say lead received, right? Make that a little bit longer. Maybe I change my font down to 14. Looks like it's going to work. If I could learn how to spell, we would be in good shape. Lead received, right? So I'm going to enter. So I'm going to highlight that. Let's go with shape fill, and let's give our shape black, and let's give our text white. And we can make that as big or small as we want. Oops. So I can make that big if I want to. I can make it smaller if I want to. Oops. There we go. So now I've got my first box in there ready to go. So now I'm going to insert another text box, and we're going to add our next part to the process. Which was lead received continued or submit to processing. You see how that whole thing is working. I'm going to change my color over here. First, let's go to 14. Can't see everything because it's there we go. We'll center that up, make it look good. Boom. So you can kind of play with it like that and create your actual map. And Joy says, I delegate all the busy work. And that's it really is a little bit of busy work. You can create this. Now there is also a way. I'm going to let me do this real quick. I'm going to do a new blank slide. You can also come into, no, insert. I want to say, it's not shapes, but smart art. Replace bulleted text. Discord, you can create. Yes. Why is it not showing me my smart art? Word art. That's what we want. No, that's not what we wanted. Oh goodness, I'm not finding it. I was playing with it just a little bit ago, and now I can't get it to come back up for me. It was, is it shapes? Do I just add shapes? Flowchart. There we go. So you can do the same thing with your flowchart here, and add panels and different panels. So I could put in here, lead received, and then oops, I grabbed the wrong one. I meant to grab the one above that. And then when I want to arrow that to that, I just kind of create my little arrow pointing to that. That's where it goes to. Lead received, you know, triggers, email, and then another one. And you just kind of create it this way. I think this is probably a little easier. You can kind of do it the way that you were seeing Chad had his set up. So let me delete that. So then I'll add a new one here and go submit to processing. And there's my next piece. And then I would do like an arrow to the next piece here. And then maybe I would come over here and do my next box, but I'm going to change the color of this box to differentiate. So I would go shape, fill, maybe gray or yellow, and then trigger email and kind of move on with it. Why is that not? That was weird. It was keeping the font color the same and not showing. But there, I just changed the color in the font to white, and it's showing up there. And you would just kind of go through and make your process flow work for you, based on what you've got. You know, like I said, I'm a huge fan. When I do stuff like that, when I'm making like lists, I literally, I've got my pad and paper next to me, and it's just dumped on there. And so I'm looking at that pad and paper as I'm making this kind of thing, and I'm looking at, okay, I get a lead. What has to happen when I get a lead? First thing that has to happen when I get a lead is I need to call for application. Okay, and then the next thing after that I would do would probably be pull credit is probably the next thing I'm doing there. And again, I want that to be in my orange color, so I'm doing that, right? And then the next thing after pull credit, I'm going to probably have to get approval. And then once I've got an approval, the next thing that happens is collect docs. All right, and so for collect docs, I need current W-2s. Oops, not W-ats, 2s. Man. Make my box about the same size, and these little red lines kind of tell you when your box is at the same size as the other box. And maybe I want my collect docs color to be, why don't we take that one into the greens, okay? And I need to get a bank statement. Okay, and then again I'm going to make that be green, and I'm going to make it fit the same size as everything else. So let's move that into range there. Perfect. That's the same size. That is not the same size. There we go. Now we're the same size. Boom. That is not the same size. Now we're the same size. Okay, and that's how you would go about creating your process flow, is just kind of fill in the pieces. Having this down, knowing that, you know, collecting the docs, this should take me 2 days, right? Not days, days. Put your time in there. You know, maybe your colors are according to who handles it. Yellow, anything yellow is you. Anything in green is your assistant, or your loan partner, or somebody that you're working with. But that gives you the ability to break down and create your flow process. Does anybody have this already done in their business? Does anybody already have? I know Joy and Terry both have this process as they're part of the legacy team. But who else? Has anybody created one of these? Peggy, specifically, have you created one of these for your business yet? I know that that's been something that you and I have talked about in the past, all the different things, and we didn't quite talk about it in terms of an actual process map. But what Peggy and I talked about in the past was putting all the things on paper that have to happen to make a loan happen in her business. Because our whole focus was delegating some of those things to her assistant. I'm wondering, did you ever put it on a map like that? Yeah, and so what Peggy's reply was, just so we keep the mastermind going here, it says, no, but I have it in my head. Would be good to get it on paper. That's the whole thing is, and I know most of us have our process in head. But what if you did have this as a regular old, and it doesn't have to look like mine, but what I'm talking about, Peggy, is what if you had this on a checklist that was broken down in order, step by step by step in a checklist, and then you would be able to, seeing it on a checklist, I think for you is going to help you more easily be able to focus on, okay, Cindy does A, B, and C, Peggy does D, E, and F. Frank does, you know, the next step in the series, and so on and so forth. I think that would help you to be able to find other things that you could actually delegate out. So you do have that in every file. Okay, so fine-tune that and make it into a map that you can kind of guide people and show who needs to do what when they need to do it. you got a couple of projects that you're working on your plate. Well, let's focus on one of them at a time. And I think from our conversations, Peggy, the number one thing to focus on for you is that let's get the pipe drive finished and done so that we can move on to the next step. Because I think for you, consumer direct marketing is going to be a huge thing for you in your business. It's going to be really, really helpful. Bill, that's exactly what we're going to be talking about on Friday. We will be covering the commitment letter to referral partners in depth. We're going to take it top to bottom. We're going to break down exactly how the vernacular works, why we've got the words where we have the words. We're going to talk about exactly how to present it, what to have with you when you present it, how to make sure that you're showing them, not only talking to them about how you're going to help them and giving them that way that you're going to do it, but asking them for an actual commitment in the form of a signature. It shows a level of professionalism that the agents, quite frankly, are not used to with their potential referral partners. And because of that level of professionalism, what we're going to be talking about on Friday is it appeals more to the above average agents. It actually doesn't appeal. You'll get the below average agents, oh, I'm not signing that thing. I'm not signing, because they don't understand the professionalism that you're bringing to the table with something like a commitment letter and asking for a signature. It's a very, very different approach to getting the agents to commit to working with you. And what's cool about it is it gives you that opportunity to go deep in a professional manner, and then right then start engaging and asking for the business. We're going to talk about all that for sure, Bill. Awesome. I think the next thing, Peggy, is definitely going to be, let's get that consumer direct stuff going. Guys, girls, that is it for me for today. I hope you learned a little bit of something. I know my girl Joy is going to be out there looking for the local refrigerator magnet distributor to get that going for her moving survival kit. Hope we learned a little bit of something today, guys. I highly recommend, if you don't have some sort of a checklist or a process map of some sort, you need to get that put together sooner rather than later. Huge, huge way to be able to just focus on the things that have to happen and really be able to stick to your time block a lot easier, because you know that your process for loans is set in stone. It's going to happen in this way and that way, and it's going to happen that way every single time. So awesome stuff. Guys, girls, thank you so much for spending your day with me today. I appreciate the time you spent. I look forward to seeing you right back here, same time, same place tomorrow. Tomorrow, guys, we're going to talk about crafting content. We've been talking a lot about consumer direct marketing. Tomorrow we're going to talk about how to create our outlines and develop and craft our content where we can take the same outline and make it work for any content that we want to use it for. Hope you have a great day today. Look forward to seeing you right back here, same time, same channel tomorrow. Have a good day, everybody. See you then.